Good morning. Today we are reviewing that unit 4 for our test that is next week. So on our table of contents, we can see for unit 4, there is going to be, oh goodness, I need to calibrate. Oh my, I'm way off. You need to go slow. There we go. Well, let's see if it'll work. Alright, so for unit 4, we can see that we need to know M6R3. Math 6 review number 3 is going to have power standards from the beginning of the year. So we need to look back and make sure we remember PO16, PO18, PO20, and PO28. Those are all in binder 1. So it's going to be your responsibility to go back and look at those. We've already passed these objectives. All right, we've already taken our test on it. So we're not getting new questions on the practice test on Monday because we've already had questions on these. But there will be a question from PO16, PO18, PO20, PO28 in that Math 6 review on our real test. So your job is to go back into binder 1 and look at those 4 power objectives and make sure you remember what we're doing. You can put stuff on your help card to help you with those. Okay? But it's your job later to go back to binder 1 to look those 4 up. And if you forget which ones they are, look at your table of contents as a reminder. Okay? So your job is to look these up so we don't go, oh, I remember I did this, but it was 2 months ago. I don't remember how to do it because I can't tell you how to do it on the test. Your job to refresh your memory. So now let's start with CO29. I can convert percentages and fractions. What key things do you think we need to put onto our help sheet? Adeline. Yeah, the definition of percent. Percent means out of 100. Remember, that's our key number, out of 100. Emma, what else should we put? So before we even put simplest form, I would put fractions have 100 as denominator and then you want to simplify. Right? So we put that percent as a fraction. We want to make sure that that denominator is 100, and then we must simplify. 100 being our magic number. We have our friendly denominators. You think that might be nice to have on our help sheet? So if your denominator is a 1, you want to multiply by 100. Your denominator is a 2, multiply by 50. It's a 4, multiply by 25. A 5, you multiply by 20. 10 is by 10. 20 is by 5. 25 is by 4. And 50 is by 2. You can put those friendly denominators on your help sheet. So you remember, a lot of times that 20 and 25, people flip those around a lot. So it's nice to have it on our help sheet as a reminder. If my denominator is a 25, I need to multiply by 4 to get it to 100. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So if I'm multiplying by 4 to get 100, I need to multiply my numerator by 4. Any questions on this subjective? We are not using calculators on this subjective, and this is one that we need to know how to convert it without a calculator. CO30, now we're doing percentages with decimals. Again, no calculator for this one. All right, so what big thing do we need to remember for this one, James? We need to go to the 100th place. Decimals go to the 100th place. So you could even write it out. You could have ones, decimal, tenths, and then hundredths. So you remember that you need to fill in all the way to that 100th place. Super easy for people to see 0.5 and think it's 5%. Because they forgot to put a 0 in that 100th place. So make sure that when you have a decimal, it goes all the way to 100th. If there's an empty spot, you fill it in with a 0. Remember, the numerator over 100, that numerator becomes the percentage. The percent becomes the numerator. That numerator over 100 is also the decimal. So that numerator from the fraction, we can put it as a percent, we can put it as a decimal. Key thing, what do we have to have in that fraction in order to be able to do this, Adeline? 100. 100 is our key number. So that fraction has to be to 100 so we can get the percent, we can get the decimal. Any questions on this objective? All right, next one, PO 31. I can order fractions, decimals, and percents. What key thing do we need to remember for this objective? Emma? We need to remember about the hundredth, but how do we solve these problems? What do we have to do? Nolan?
All the numbers have to be a fraction, decimal, or percentage.
Yeah, we want to convert all to the same type. So you're going to decide, do I want to convert all to fractions? Do I want to convert all to decimals? Or do I want to convert all to percentages? Okay, you choose which one you're going to convert them all to, and then you put them in order. The big key thing is to remember to convert all to the same type. There's no guessing, well, I think this fraction is bigger than this percent. No, convert them all. Make sure 100% that you know which order they go in. So convert them all to the same type. All fractions, all decimals, all percents. from the last two objectives, we know how to do that converting. So it's not anything new, we're just putting it all together. Any questions on this one? CO32, I can compute percentages of whole numbers. She took 10 shots and made 30% of them. So remember, we have, how did we solve this one? Who can tell me? How would we do this? Do you remember, James?
You put 30% and then put 30% as a fraction.
We could do it two different ways. One, turning that percent into a fraction and then multiplying it, or you could do it as a decimal. So you can convert the percent to fraction or decimal. Then multiply by the whole. So if she took 10 shots, that's our whole, right? That's the main number. How many, you want a percentage of a whole number. So you know your percent, you either have a fraction or a decimal of that percent. You multiply it by the whole number to figure out what that part was. So another way of looking at this is that part equals that percent times the whole. When it tells us 30% of 10. Here's our percent, here's our whole. We multiply them together to find that part. What was the part? We will be able to use calculators on this one. Okay? So you need to be able to multiply. That's why I like to go to the decimal, because we can use the calculator. So I would go to the decimal and multiply it by the whole. So you can use a calculator. If you go to the decimal instead of the fraction, it's easy to use that calculator. How are we feeling on this one? Doing okay? Okay, CO33, I can use a discount to find the sale price. Remember, we had two different ways of doing this. You need to look at that and say, oh yeah, I liked doing it, finding the discount first, or I like doing it, finding it directly. So remind yourself, look at the work that you did on that second page. Is it more comfortable for you to do the multiplying and then subtract it away from the total? Or was it more comfortable for you to multiply and then, to subtract and then multiply? So remember, we had our two ways of doing this. You could find that percent. So find the discount. So if it was 20% of 50, you found what that was. and then you subtract from the total. So you find the discount and then you subtract it from the total. Or did you like doing it this way where you have the original amount and in parentheses you have that 100% minus that percentage. So you subtract in the parentheses and then multiply that decimal by the original amount. So look at your work. Which way were you using? If you were using the first way, do we need to write the second way on our help sheet? That's going to confuse us. We're going to say, I don't remember how to do this because that's not the one I used. Put on your help sheet the one that you were using when you did the work. Does that make sense? There will be a word problem that you need to make sure you're following all the steps on it. So make sure you answer that final question, right? If we have to do a couple of steps, make sure you're doing all the steps. It's not going to be all easy of what's that discount, what's the new price. There will be a little bit more that we have to think through, just like our homework. So look over what we did for the homework word problems. Make sure you remember how to do those. The next objective is almost the same, except instead of finding that discount, we're using the tax to find the bigger amount. So now we're using that tax. So instead of subtracting, we're adding. So again, find the tax amount and add it to the original. So you're doing that same percentage work, 20% of 10, 0.2 times 10, and this time we add that number to the original. Or if we're doing our formula, we have the original times that 100% plus your percentage. So again, look at your work. Which one were you using when you did the homework? Do you like finding that tax amount first and then adding it? Or do you like using the formula where you just directly find the new amount? You look to see which one works for you. Write that one on your help sheet. You don't have to write both ways if you're not going to use both ways. Don't confuse yourself. And just like with the discount one, with the tax one, read it through those word problems. Make sure you remember how to follow all the steps to answer the question, because there will be a word problem on the test. So make sure you remember how to do the word problems with this. All right, finding the percent of change, the one we just corrected today. You will want to have that formula on your help sheet. Difference between the values over the original value. I might even put big number minus small number. So we remember we don't go negative. If our big number was listed second, it's okay. We still start with big number minus small number. That's the difference. And remember, this fraction bar means to divide by that original value. So you have the big number minus the small number. and you divide that by the original value. Any questions on that? What time is it? Okay, so we are going to stop there. Remember, for that Math 6 review, it is your responsibility to look at binder 1. So on your help sheet, you can put you can put a section for PO 16, PO 18, PO 20, PO 28. When you look at binder 1, if you go, ooh, I want to remember how to do this next week, I'm going to put a little help for each of those on my help sheet. You can do that. Okay, so make sure you're looking at binder 1 on those 4 objectives so you remember how to do it on the test. Remember, tomorrow we are doing our retakes. So right now, we have some options. You can work on the first thing, practice work for retakes. Make sure those get turned in if you get the practice works filled out. If you've already gotten them approved, hold on to them for when you're going to do the retake. Second thing, make sure you've gone through all these objectives, the binder 1 objectives. Make sure you understand how to ask me questions if you need a refresher on anything. Khan Academy, due tonight. A lot of us still need to do that Khan Academy. Get your Khan done. So you can be working on Khan, on practice work, packet number 5. I still have quite a few of us who need to turn in packet number 5. Turn that in. Okay. And if you're all done with math, which I don't think there is anybody who is all done, you can work on your works of mercy, memorizing them. All right, so this is a quiet work time. If you are watching this at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.